It's Over Opinionated. Opinionated with Josh Cott.
He's in the jailhouse now. He's in the jailhouse now. I told him once or twice to quit playing cards and shooting dice. He's in the jailhouse now.
Welcome back, everyone, to Over Opinionated. Well, is President Trump going to the jailhouse now? Oh, I spent actually way too much research to see if that was copyright free, and I'm pretty sure it is. And if it's not, I'll take that part out. But I'm about 90% sure it is, because the version of the song I played was filmed in 1928. For copyright laws, you have to, they're good for 95 years, and that was 96 years ago. So I think I'm good on that. Is Donald J. Trump, the former president of the United States, going to the big slammer? Guilty on 34 felony accounts in a Manhattan jury. What's this mean for the 2024 election and American general? As most people, if you're friends with me on social media, you'll know I obviously think this trial was a kangaroo court. I think it was a sham. And the reason I think it's a sham is it's a double standard. If Trump was a Democrat, this would never happen. They are going after him because he's a Republican, he's a conservative, but not only that, because he shook things up in Washington. He went after the free letter agencies like the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, and they're mad at him. They're mad at him. He pushed back on them, and now they're pushing back on him. You might say, well, this is a state trial. What about this district attorney? How can you say that you really think people don't talk to other people? You really think that? I'm going to read you guys a little bit something. And then I'm going to give you a little conclusion of my thoughts on this trial and of the conviction. I think it's dangerous for the country, very dangerous, because any president, any sitting president being prosecuted under these standards could go to jail after their presidency. Obama easily could be charged a war criminal. Trump easily could be charged a war criminal, even if they are or not. Just because, when you're president of the United States, sometimes you have to take measures into your arms, and sometimes you have to have a drone strike here or there, and civilians die. It's awful, but you could make it look like they're a war. George W. Bush, the left always call him a war criminal, partially for supporting a war that most of them supported as well. So, the reason this is dangerous is, do we want to live in a republic that any time that we get out of power, any time the political party of your choice gets out of power, that they're going to start persecuting you and your leaders? This isn't just a persecution of Donald Trump. It's a persecution of all conservative Americans, really. And I haven't done a huge back and forth, but there's a friend, an old friend of mine. I haven't talked to him face to face in a while. Really, I don't know when the last time I talked to him face to face, but we used to go to a Bible study. He's a Marxist. I'm pretty sure he would call himself a communist. If not, he would call himself a socialist. He's hated Donald Trump from day one. Has absolutely hated him. believes the 2016 election was stolen, which it wasn't, or rigged. And I think it's funny. I really think that this guy, although as a person, he's a good guy. He's a great father, a great husband. He's a hard worker, and I think he's a decent Christian man, actually. But his politics are way off. And I don't think his politics are good when it comes to Christianity. And I'm not saying you have to be a Republican if you're a Christian. I think there are plenty of Christians that aren't Republican, that they're pretty disenfranchised with today's political state, and I'm fine with that. I still think you should vote. Even if you write someone's name in, you should still go vote. And I will say this, I think that you cannot be, I think it's fine if you're a Christian and you don't want to be a Republican because of certain things, but I have a huge problem with a Christian being a Democrat with what that party stands for. Now, I think you can be saved and be a Christian Democrat. I know that. I know you can be. But I think you're supporting a party that goes against biblical values. But this individual, I will not say his name unless he writes an op-ed reviewing my podcast, and he said he might. If he does, I'll address him by name. I invited him on the show. I've invited him more than once. For whatever reason, does not want to come on the show, does not want to debate. And it's a little, part of it's frustrating because I'm given the opportunity, man, to say whatever you want. I'm not going to cut you off. This isn't Fox News. This isn't ABC where I cut you off in 5 seconds. He's a smart guy. He's not stupid. This individual's I'm not trying to act like he's dumb. He's actually a fairly smart guy. I want to give him some credit. And I don't hate him personally at all. Like I said, I went to a Bible study that he kind of ran. He ran a good part of it. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. I don't want to say anything awful about him personally, because personally I think he's a great guy. I got a lot of respect for him. And I've never had any hard feelings toward him as a person. But, he said I should do a podcast about Trump's impeachment. Not Trump's impeachment. Trump's federal conviction, felony conviction in New York. I already was going to, and he said he might write an op-ed on it or a rebuttal to it. And I said that's fine. If he does, he does. If he does, I'll do another podcast, give him a rebuttal, then we'll move on. Or maybe I'll write a blog myself. I haven't done that in a while. I'd prefer you just hear my voice. I prefer you just listen to me. I've wrote blogs before. I don't mind blogging. I used to really enjoy it, but it takes me a long time. I'm dyslexic. It's very hard for me to spell words and make them sound good. But I've done it before. I've wrote blogs before, and given my disability, I think I've done a halfway decent job. I'm definitely not like a news article, a news articleist, but I'd rather be raw with you, and I'd rather talk to you on this podcast. So, well, with that being said, I'm going to read you a few articles, or at least a few pieces of articles, and I'm going to give you my argument to why I think this is kind of a sham and a shame to our country. And even if I wasn't the biggest fan of Donald Trump, I don't think this is good for America. If this was Hillary Clinton, I don't think it's good. And Hillary Clinton, that's another argument. If Hillary Clinton's not charged with deleting thousands upon thousands of emails of classified documents, then what is? And if this was the classified document case of Trump in Florida, I actually would probably not be making this podcast, because that's more serious than the sham trial that they charge him with. Really, the trial that they charged him with is a little similar to what Bill Clinton did with his impeachment case, with having sex with an intern at the White House, a 21-year-old intern named Monica Lewinsky, and lying about it to Congress. He perjured himself. And that's, you might say, oh, he just lied about sex. When you lie to Congress, no matter what you're lying about, that's a big deal. You don't do that. That is a big deal, guys. And if he was in the military, if he was in the Army or something, people in the Army get kicked out for having affairs. They do. It's a big no-no in the military to have an affair on your wife. It just is. So I'm going to read you an article from CBS News. And it was published on May 31st, 2024, a little bit after the verdict. Former President Donald Trump's conviction in New York stemmed from a $130,000 hush money payment his attorney, Michael Cohen, made to an adult star, Stormy Daniels, in the days before the 2016 election. Prosecutors said the deal was meant to keep voters in the dark about Daniels' allegations that she had sex with Trump years earlier, which he denies. Number one, I don't believe Trump in this one case. I 100% think he stuck his willy where he shouldn't have when it comes to Stormy Daniels. And here's a good, this is a good testament to you guys. Although sexual temptation could be hard to overcome, sticking your willy where it doesn't need to be stuck can leave you with consequences years down the road. This was in 2006 that he messed around with Stormy Daniels, and he said he didn't do it. I don't believe him. You probably shouldn't either. Donald Trump has had a lot of sex with a lot of different women. He's not a very moral man when it comes to this. Maybe he's got better in recent years. I pray he has. Okay, there's a lot of adulterers and fornicators that have repented and they're in heaven. Just like Bill Clinton, he stuck his willy where it didn't belong. It got him in trouble. King David stuck his willy where it didn't belong, got him in trouble. So a good rule of thumb is, if you're in politics, not just if you're in politics, but if you're in life in general, don't stick your willy where it doesn't belong, and things get easier. But if you do, don't lie about it. Repent. Seek God's forgiveness. Move along. Don't try to cover stuff up, because the truth will be revealed in this life or the next. Okay, we're going to keep going. But the actual charges that Trump faced were far less scandalous and dealt with the contemporary paperwork that was generally when he reimbursed Cohen for his payments. Here's what to know about the charges Trump faced. What was Trump convicted of? Trump was charged with 34 counts of falsified of business records in the first degree, which is a felony in New York. He pled not guilty when he was arranged last year. In 2017, Cohen and Alan Alowitz, I'm sorry, I'm awful with names, an executive at Trump's organization, reached an agreement about how Cohen would be repaid the 300.
Let's take a quick break.
Has anybody ever told you you were over opinionated? How about this one? You can talk about everything you like, but don't talk about religion, don't talk about faith, don't talk about politics. My name is Darrell McClain, host of Darrell McClain's Show, and I want to introduce you to a show called Over Opinionated with my friend from Southwest Virginia, Josh Scott. Josh has always been told he has been over-opinionated. He always tried to hold back these opinions, but he tried to back them up when he had to say something with facts and logic. Since he's grown up in many ways, he had to change a lot of his views and his opinions, as a lot of people should. He's not a millionaire from Fox News or CNN. He's just a hard-working, blue-collar type of guy. Give Josh Scott a shot at Over Opinionated with Josh Scott. You can find him on patreon.com/overopinionated at 679. You can also check him out on Twitter at NRV_guy79. Over Opinionated with Josh Scott, where he is this soft-spoken guy telling you the truth.
100,000 that was sent to Daniels in exchange for her silence. Whistleberg detained the calculation in a handwritten notes that were shown to the jury at the trial. Colin would receive $130,000 for the Daniels payment plus $50,000 included for a technical company that did unrelated work for Trump. That amount was doubled to account for taxes that Cohen would have to pay on the income. Wellsberg then attacked on the extra $60,000 as a bonus of Cohen, who was upset that his regular end-year award had been cut. The total worked out to $420,000. Cohen would be paid in a series of monthly payments of $35,000 over the course of 2017. The first check was $70,000 covering 2 months. Cohen sent an invoice to Trump Organization for each check, portraying the payment as his retainer. Every time he was paid, a bookkeeper gathered a record for his company files known as a voucher with the description of legal expense. For the first 3 payments were made from Trump's trust, while the remaining payments came from his personal account. Each of the 34 charges against Trump's corresponding to a check imbalanced and voucher gathered to reimburse Cohen. The prosecution laid out in charges a chart that jurors saw several times during the trial. Prosecutor said Trump knew the payments were to reimburse Cohen for the Daniels payments, not for his legal expenses. The jury voted to convict on all 34 counts. As Trump looked on, the court's clerk asked for the floor person of the jury of the verdict. How do you say for the first count of the indictment, charging Donald J. Trump with the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree, guilty or not guilty? The clerk asked. Guilty, the floor person responded, repeating the answer 33 more times. So this is... So he's getting busted on the technicalities of... Yeah, and I'm not saying that this is like a Christian business ethic, what Trump is doing. But you're going to convict the former president of the United States and the person when the poll before this conviction was leading the polls to be the future president of the United States and has a huge political movement behind him. And a lot of people, I voted for him twice and I'm going to vote for him a third time, even though he's a convicted felon, because Biden really, really sucks as president of the United States. And because this trial is a kangaroo trial. This should have never been took up. This is in Manhattan, where Trump had no chance at winning. He lost overwhelmingly. And also, let's just think about this. When you're looking at a jury pool, you're trying to find a jury pool that is unbiased toward an individual's case that they're hearing. Okay? They don't have a bias one way or the other. In Manhattan, where it's just a left-wing place, super left-wing place. I'm not saying it's a bad place. I'd love to visit Manhattan. To visit, not live. It's a super left-wing place. Everyone knows who Donald Trump is. Everyone knows he used to be the president. He's running for president now. And then he was a businessman and a reality TV show host for years before that. Everyone has known Donald Trump for years. On years. He made cameos in movies. Everyone has an opinion about Donald Trump. You cannot get an unbiased jury. You just can't. There's no president of the former or current president of the United States that could get an unbiased jury. There's just not. That's one reason I think this trial is kind of a farce. I mean, it's not legitimate. I mean, it's legitimate that it's from the government. It's set up to be, legitimate. But I don't know how you can respect the foundings of this court with all those facts. It's in Manhattan. It's a former president of the United States that Manhattan does not like. That right there, I mean, they should at least get to be able to go somewhere else, to be able to try it somewhere else. And I don't know. I think Trump has a very good shot at winning his appeal. But guess what? His appeal would not take until after the 2024 election. The Democrats don't care about truth. Do they want to convict Trump? Yes. They don't care about truth. They don't care about truth. This is dirty politics. It's bad for the country. And I've heard Republicans debate, we should do this too. We should have tried Hillary Clinton. We should have put her on trial. What she did was 10 times worse than Trump. I agree when it comes to this case. Yeah, I agree. But when we start doing that, we become a banana republic. But I will say this, Democrats are playing a very, very dangerous game, because if they keep doing this, Republicans will, when Republicans one day will be in power again. They will. There's only two legitimate political parties in America, and that's the Democrat and Republicans. And you could say that you're an independent voter, and that's fine if you're an independent voter, but independent candidates will not win the presidency of the United States. I don't think so in my lifetime. Could be, maybe I'm wrong. But we haven't had an independent candidate for president win since George Washington. The last time an independent presidential candidate did good was Ross Perot over 30 years ago, and RFK Jr. is doing decent, but he's not going to win. For an independent president candidate, he's doing great. RFK is doing great for an independent, but he's not going to win. So let's just go to brass tacks. If you're a voter, there's two legitimate choices. If you're going to vote strategically and you want your vote to count to the presidency for a good outcome. Now, if you're just protesting the vote, you have the right to do that. I've done a protest vote, said, man, both of these guys suck. I'm writing a protest vote. And just to clarify, when I've done a protest vote, it's been in a Republican primary. I've always voted for the Republican candidate. And you might say, so you're blindly following a political party. No, the Republican Party has most of my values. Now, I've held my nose and voted Republican before because I didn't like the candidate. But the Republican Party has most of my values, so I'm going to vote for him. Do I disagree with people here or there? Yeah, but I'm going to vote for the Republican Party nominee as long as they uphold the majority of the values of the party that I agree with. Unless I think you're a murderer or something horribly immoral. And people will point to Trump as horribly immoral. But look who the alternative is. Biden is not a better guy, morally speaking, than Trump. They might have different demeanors, but morally speaking, sexually speaking, Biden's probably a better guy. But when it comes to other things, they're both in the mud pile. Okay. So I'm going to vote for the party that represents the majority of my beliefs. And you want to call that blindly following a political party, so be it. The Democrats support everything I'm against socially. They're okay with killing babies before they're born. I don't care what kind of economic policy from the Communist Manifesto you put out. I don't support killing babies. That's wrong. And that's what a fetus is. That's what an unborn fetus is. A human fetus is a baby. It's a human being made in God's image. I'm not voting for that. And Trump is not great when it comes to abortion. I've criticized Trump on this podcast about abortion. And I'll do it again. But the pro-life cause is a lot better under Trump than it is Biden. Donald Trump helped overturn Roe v. Wade, which Roe v. Wade said every state had to kill unborn babies up until a certain date. And that's what it did. Every state in the union. Now, we have better laws in some states that restrict abortion. It's not completely gone. In every state, in all 50 states, some side of abortion is legal. You can take an abortion pill. You can kill your baby through an abortion pill. I don't like that. I want it gone. But we have to take small steps to win our goal. How do you, there's an old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite or one bite at a time? And the answer is one bite at a time. The Democrats support LGBT, everything. And I think this is America. It's a free country. I still believe in Christian values and moral values. Do I live up to them values all the time? No, I don't. I'm a sinner and I need Jesus. But transgenderism for people under 18 is horrible. We should not be giving sex reassignment surgery to someone under 18 years old. We should not be telling little boys that they can be little girls and vice versa, because they can't. And when it comes to pushing down this whole LGBT and Pride Month crap every year, and Happy Sin Month, by the way, it's June, Happy Sin Month. It's not Sin Month. This is the month the Lord has made. And no matter how many gay crap they put out there, they can't take the rainbow away from us. That's God's symbol. That's God's symbol in a covenant he made with Noah. That's our rainbow. They can put it on a flag, but the rainbow is still ours. So they can be perverted. So they can have gay parades and be perverted in those parades. And they are. And obviously, when it comes to some economic policies, I might lean a little bit more to the left for a Republican. But the Democrats are really out there. So I'm not going to support them. And I just say that because I know I'm a side tangent. I'll get back to the article. But Democrats will say, you're a single issue voter. No, I'm not. I care about multiple issues. Abortion's the number one issue because I think it's a genocide. And if you thought it was a genocide, would that not be your number one issue? And it is. It is a genocide. We're killing tons of babies. And the Democrat Party is okay with it. And some people in the Republican Party are okay with it. But I'm not okay with it. And I'm going to fight to stop it. I'm going to fight to stop it. But anyway, I'm not a single issue voter. I care about multiple issues. I care about abortion. I care about the Second Amendment. I care about the border. I care about economics. And it always comes down to economics. Because, oh, you Republicans, you care about the baby before it's born. But once it's born, you don't care crap about it. Because unless you put the food in its mouth and actually make its cords in its mouth swallowed, and you don't love the baby. Unless you actually wipe the baby's butt, you don't love It's always the most Marxist crap. If we don't have this social policy, then we should kill the baby. If we don't have this Marxist policy, then we should kill the baby. And guess what? I support helping young mothers and babies and young fathers too. I give monthly, every month, money out of my checking account goes to a pregnancy resource center, a real clinic that doesn't kill babies, that helps moms in need, and helps babies in need, and helps young fathers in need. I give diapers to these clinics occasionally to help young mothers. I organize, and I'm not bragging on myself. This is all glory to God. I'm not bragging on myself. Jesus helped me do this, okay? This is none for me and all for him. But my home church, Angels Rest Fellowship in Pearisburg, And my views are not at all representative of theirs. I help organize a yearly baby diaper drive at Angels Rest Fellowship in Pearisburg, my old home church. And they do it still. I only go there a few times a year to go visit them because I live an hour and a half away now. But I love them. Those are good Christian people. I love them. But anyway, I'm going to keep going back. I went on a rant. But we're not single issue voters. I just want to clarify that. Okay, let's go. Why were the charges a felony? Under New York law, falsification of business record is a crime when the record is altered with an intent to defraud. To be charged with a felony, prosecutors must also show that the offender intended to commit another crime or aid or conceal another crime when falsifying records. In Trump's case, prosecutors said that under New York, crime was a violation of New York election law that makes it illegal for any two persons or conspiring to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means. As Judge Juan Marcin, I'm going to spell his name so you can read it, Merchan, no disrespect to the judge, I'm bad at pronouncing names, explains in his instructions to the jury what exactly those unlawful means were. In this case was up to the jury to decide. So, jury, you can decide whatever they want. Whatever those unlawful means are, decide. If you don't like Trump's hair color, that's unlawful. You know, what vague, so vague. As a judge, should you be so vague to allow a jury to make up whatever they want? In a liberal town, New York City, and a liberal borough, Manhattan of New York City, and a liberal state, New York. Come on. I don't think this judge cared at all about justice. What exactly those unlawful means were in this case was up to the jury to decide. Prosecutors put forth 3 areas that they could consider: a violation of federal campaign finance laws, falsification of business records, or a violation of tax laws. Okay, so we're going to convict the former president of the United States, who's running to become the future president, and he could lose too. So we're going to convict the former and maybe future president of the United States for falsification of tax laws or falsification of campaign finance. This is a guy that held the nuclear buttons in his hands and one day may again. We're going to turn our republic into a banana republic over this crap. We're going to pull someone over for going 36 and a 35 and lock him up and throw away the key and put a felony on his record. This is all 100. And if you think Democrats at the state and federal level don't talk to each other, you're just stupid. If you think this prosecutor was not trying to get Donald Trump, you're just stupid. If you think that the White House has nothing to do with this whatsoever, you're just stupid. I mean, and now am I saying that the White House ordered everything? No. But are you telling me there's no connections there? Are you telling me there's no connections with New York State and the White House? The governor and the White House? The mayor of New York and the White House? This district attorney in the White House? You really telling me that? How is this not? This is election interference. This is election interference. This is what election interference looks like, to try to take out your opponent in the courtroom because you're afraid that he's going to beat you at the ballot box, and he very well might. I don't know who's going to win this election. I think we got, 5 months until this election? No, a little bit less than that. Still, we got a long ways to go. The election's in November. Got a little bit ways to go. Biden's afraid, guys. On the flip side, Biden is terrified. Why? Because stuff like this. He's going to play this up as much as possible, play Donald Trump as an evil felon and a crook who also put up an insurrection. That's what his campaign is going to be. Do you want this crook and do you want this felon and this insurrectionist and this traitor to be your president again? Or, but even though this economy sucks, even though I'm letting all of these illegals in, even though I'm pushing to kill as many babies as possible and restore Roe v. Wade, that's what do you want? Me or Trump? Come on, man. Come on, man. But the United States of America know one thing. We know Biden sucks. We know Biden is an absolutely awful garbage president. And we also know something else. Now, and I'm speaking as overall. Donald Trump's a jerk. He's mean. He's a bully. I don't think he sucked as president, but some people do. His attitude sucks. And I'll admit to that. Trump wasn't my guy in the primaries. If you listen to this, I want Ron DeSantis. I think Ron DeSantis would kill Biden in the debate. I think he would kill Biden at the polls. I don't think it'd be close. And we wouldn't be worried about this kangaroo court crap. Because Trump is an immoral guy, and this is why they're getting him on this. But guess what? Bill Clinton was an immoral man. Very immoral. Hillary Clinton was a pathological liar. Biden's not a moral man. Obama's, most of the time, if you're in the White House, you're probably not a good person. You might have good policies, but you're probably not a good person. I'll go back a little bit further. I'll pick a Democrat. Jimmy Carter. Although I think his policies were not good for America, Jimmy Carter was actually a good person. And I think most people would probably agree with that. I would say Ronald Reagan, very good person. Now, the left hate Ronald Reagan. The communists hate Ronald Reagan because he was effective. He helped destroy the Soviet Union. Now, was it him completely? No, obviously not. That's not how history works. They hate trickle-down economics. I don't. I think trickle-down economics works a lot of times, not all the time, and I am more populist. I'm not a true Reaganite when it comes to all economics. Absolutely not. I'm a populist. I think sometimes the government needs to step in and interfere for the working man, for sure. But Ronald Reagan helped get this country going again after awful inflation, and after an awful 4 years of Joe Biden. Honestly, you know who reminds me a lot of Joe Biden? Of Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter is Jimmy Carter. I'm sorry, not Carden. Jimmy Carter. Joe Biden reminds me a lot of Jimmy Carter. When it comes to this policy, except Biden's worse. Biden's worse. But come on. This case is baloney. This case is baloney, guys. You know what? One case that, and I know some of the leftists would say, or my friend on Facebook, if he comes back and writes, I'm sure he'll say, you'll defend Trump no matter what. If this was the classified documents case, I actually think that was your strongest case. This is one of your weaker cases. The classified documents case, if it came out that he was convicted of a felony in that, I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for him because I think Biden's pretty awful, but that's a strong case to make. Trump screwed up there. Trump held on to classified documents when he knew he had them, and he didn't give them back to the White House. But Biden didn't. Now Biden might have gave them back, but Biden had classified documents too in the damaged box next to his Corvette. Hillary Clinton mishandled classified documents and deleted them off of her personal email server. So, what's good for the goose is it not good for the gander? We're going to prosecute Donald Trump because he was a very good and effective president. He went against all of these free litter agencies a lot of times, the bureaucracy. Oh, that's the difference between Trump and other Republicans. Other Republicans tried to get along with the bureaucracy. He tried to get along with all these agencies. Trump went to war with them, and now they're going to war with him. That's what this is. That's what this is. It is a political prosecution. It just is. And I'm not even Trump's biggest fan. But I will defend him when they're being awful. I will defend him when they're doing this crap. Because this is crap. That's all this is. Okay, I'm going to continue reading. What was Trump's defense? Trump lawyers argued that the co-payments to Cohen were for his work as Trump's attorney, not reimbursement for Daniels' payment. The defense argued the descriptions on the invoices and records were accurate. Cohen held the title personal attorney to the president. Once Trump took office and was being paid for his legal services under an unwritten retainer agreement, therefore the argument went no business records were falsified. They also focused much for their firepower on portraying Cohen as a liar, with the goal of descending his testimony. Cohen was the only witness who testified that Trump knew about the true purpose of the reimbursement, a critical pillar of the prosecutor's efforts to show Trump's intent. Ultimately, the juries rejected the defense arguments and sided with the prosecution in filing Trump guilty. When will Trump be sentenced? Shortly after the verdict was handed down, the judge sentenced Trump's sentencing date for July 11th. Okay, get this part, guys. July 11th, just days before the start of the Republican National Convention. So Trump is getting sentenced just a few days, I think it's 4 days, before the Republican National Convention. Yeah, that's just a coincidence. Just a coincidence that July 11th is Trump's sentencing date, a little bit before the National Convention. And I'll talk to you about Trump's sentencing here in a little bit. Under New York law, each account of falsified business records in the first degree carries a maximum sentence of 4 years in prison and a fine of $5,000. But the judge has barred decisions when it comes to imploding the sentence. He has. So let me paraphrase that because I'm awful at reading English out loud. The judge has the right to show leniency or hardness in the sentence. Most legal observers expect him to punish Trump with little to no time behind bars based on the factors like Trump's status as a first-time offender, his age. The judge could instead rely on options like probation, home confinement, or solitary fines. Trump has vowed to appeal the verdict, and any stance could be delayed until the progress pays out. Well, there's that. Okay. Also, when judges give sentence agreements, let's not forget that remorse is often taken into account, and Trump is not remorseful in any case whatsoever in his life. He should be in a lot of cases, but not this one. This is a sham. This is a sham. So the judge could sentence him to jail. That's a very real possibility. I don't know if he will. I don't know if he'll actually pull that trigger or not. He could go halfway and sentence him to home arrest. So I guess he'd be going to Mar-a-Lago in Florida, the big beautiful golf resort. Which, if I'm going to be arrested, a home arrest, I would want it to be in Mar-a-Lago. I don't know if he could make him stay in New York. I don't know. I know that Trump has some properties in New York still. That's not his legal address. It's not his home anymore. But I don't know if he could make him stay in New York or if he could go home to Florida if he's under house arrest. What would that mean if he was under house arrest? That means he would be doing all his rallies from either Mar-a-Lago or digitally. And that could hurt Trump. Would people see this as a great injustice and go vote for Trump because of that? I don't know how it works with independents. I don't. Because there's people on the edge that say they hate Biden, they hate Trump. And they're going to have to weigh how crappy the state of the union is, or Trump's sham trial. But it might not look like a sham to them. And I'm not blaming them for that. So I don't know. Trump could lose because of this court case. Very well. And this could be a huge case of election interference and an actual rigging of the election. Now, do I think the 2020 election was rigged? In a sense. All the media came against Trump. All the social media came against Trump to silence stuff like Hunter Biden's laptop. Democrats came together and abused COVID-19 laws that was going on, and it gave themselves more favorable voting, voting procedures for Democrats. Do I think that's kind of rigging it? Yeah. Do I think Donald Trump lost the election? Yes, I do. Do I think it was mostly legal how he lost it? Yeah, I do. Because people didn't like his attitude and how he handled COVID. I still think Trump lost the election. But that doesn't mean it wasn't rigged. In the sense of, and when I say rigged, I don't mean people were, stuffing ballot boxes or the machines were reading stuff wrong. I mean, Democrats took advantage of COVID-19 pandemic laws in swing states and democratically in swing states, and they hurt Trump. So if you want to call that rigged or not, it's up to you. But putting Trump under home arrest or in jail for this BS charge, that is election. That's election interference. And someone who, like me, who repeatedly went against the grain of a lot of my family members, a lot of people in the party, and said Trump lost in 2020. I did that. It did not make me popular, but I from all the evidence I saw, Donald Trump lost in 2020. It was not quote unquote stolen from him, and it might have been rigged in a sense, like I said, like the Democrats rigging COVID-19 laws, the media hounding Trump, social media censoring conservative viewpoints and stories like Hunter Biden. If it wasn't for all that, I think Trump probably wins. But do I think that all the ballots were changed and all our votes didn't really count? No, that didn't happen. This is not Russia. Okay? This is still the United States of America. We still have a good country, but I'll be honest with you. I don't trust our electoral system. I can't trust our system that would jail a person that is leading in the polls, or was before this, is kicking Biden's butt. He used to be a president of the United States, and you put him in prison or jail, or you put him under house arrest so he can't do campaign rallies. And Trump does really well with his campaign rallies. They're huge fundraisers for him. This has done one good thing for Donald Trump. This sham trial. And it has solidated the Republicans. Even if you don't like Trump, even if you're someone kind of like me that was like, I support DeSantis, I would crawl over a broken glass to vote for that man now. Because 2 reasons. Biden sucks. I love babies. I don't want to see them die in a womb. Sue me. I'm pro-life. That's why I got involved in politics in the first place. And because this is a sham, and this right here, this is worse than January 6th. It is. Now, I know all the Democrats will go, oh, no, January 6th, the worst day in American history. Number one, it's not. It's a horrible day in American history. I condemn all violence. I condemn All trespassers that did that crap, okay? That was crap. It was wrong. Donald Trump, the way he acted on January 6th was also immoral. It was selfish, but it was not criminal. At least I don't think it was. I don't think he actually incited an insurrection. I actually don't think January 6th was an insurrection. I think it was a crowd that got out of hand. And Democrats have done this too. They did this in Wisconsin when Scott Walker was the governor at the capital of Wisconsin. They did something similar, except it was at a state capital. So that means it's okay. It's at a state capital. It happened like 10 or 12 years ago, so whatever. And they were Democrats, so the media is not going to hit them as hard. The media is controlled by the Democrats. I'm sorry. Now, when I say the media, do I mean Fox News? No. Obviously, Fox News is right-leaning, is more conservative. I don't love Fox News. I actually don't love Fox News, even as a conservative. Are there a few conservative outlets like, Newsmax, One American News, Fox News? Yes. Are there conservative podcasts, small ones like mine? Yes. Are there conservative outlets like The Blaze, The Daily Wire? Yes, they are. But MSNBC, ABC, CBN, I would say also PBS. PBS is publicly funded, but it's left wing. We have NPR. The list goes on and on and on. And even though cable news is slowly dying the death that they deserve dearly, they still have an impact on some people that are older, some people that don't have the internet. And honestly, voter turnout, Trump could have won if he had a better voter turnout in 2020 of older people. Just a few more, because the election, even though by the Electoral College it was a blowout, just like Trump blowed out Hillary Clinton, it's very close because in those states it come down to a few percentage points. It just did. Even now, the popular vote wasn't close. But, and I'm a Republican. I support the Electoral College. And that's because I think when it comes to the Constitution, that the Founding Fathers were pretty spot on that. And if we did have a popular vote, I don't think it should be a winner takes all. First, whoever has the most votes wins. I think we should do something like France does and have a runoff election. If no one passes 50%, we do it again of people who voted. But I actually don't support a popular vote in a presidential election because this country is huge. There are some small states that would never get a say who's the president. And I know people say land doesn't vote, people do. That's true, the land doesn't vote, but localities do vote. Localities actually do vote. I would rather have a system, a parliamentary system, and how they vote for their prime minister. Now, I'm not saying I want a parliament, I don't. But I'd rather our congressmen go and vote for the president than a national popular vote, because I think it would be more representative to the individuals of smaller populated areas. That's just how I am. I do believe in democracy, but I believe in a Republican form of government in democracy. I believe in a democratic republic. I actually wish it was a Christian democratic republic, and we honored Jesus Christ as Lord and King in America. I really do. Now, I like the Constitution, but it's not infallible. I really wish that the Founding Fathers would have recognized Jesus as our King in a democratic Republican format. We still have freedoms. We still have freedom of speech. But Jesus will be Lord. And Jesus is Lord. He doesn't need our permission to be Lord. I'm going to read you just a little bit here and compare to you Donald Trump's case and Bill Clinton's case. This is from thehistorychannel.com. if you still have cable. There's a few things I watched religiously growing up in school, in high school, and even before high school. I watched the History Channel. I watched ESPN. I watched the NFL Network. And believe it or not, I actually watched CBS News quite a bit. So I had a rotation of them. And then when I got older, I started watching, I'd still watch CBS News, but I'd watch the History Channel, the NFL Network, ESPN, CBS, and Fox News. So I had a good rotative mix, I guess. I used to like the military channel too, but I don't even think it exists anymore. So I'm a nerd, a big old nerd. National Geographic was okay sometimes. But I'm going to read you just a little bit of an article. We're going to be skipping up and down, and you can search for it. It's President Clinton's impeachment. After nearly 14 hours of debate, the House of Representatives approved 2 articles of impeachment against President Bill Clinton, charging him with lying under oath to a federal grand jury and obstructing justice. Clinton, the second president in American history to be impeached, vowed to finish his term. In November 1995, Clinton began an affair with Monica Lewinsky, a 21-year-old unpaid intern. This is what gets me. I don't know how old Clinton was when his presidency began. He probably in his 50s, like his late mid-50s. Maybe a little bit older than that. And he's banging the 21-year-old intern a few years ago that was just in high school. That's just a side note. Over the course of a year and a half, the president and Lewinsky had a dozen sexual encounters in the White House. In April 1996, Lewinsky was transferred to the Pentagon. That summer, she was codified in Pentagon co-worker Linda Tipton about her sexual relations with the president in 1997. With the relationship over, Tipton began secretly recording conversations with Lewinsky, in which Lewinsky gave Tipton details about the affair. In December, lawyers for Paula Jones, who was suing the president on sexual harassment charges, the president, everyone accuses President Trump for being a rapist and everything, or a sexual abuser. And I know that he had a case that he lost for sexual assault, not rape. That there's a difference with the E. Jean Carroll, but it was a sexual assault, not rape, that he was convicted of defamation of, not a felony or anything. But Bill Clinton has just as many skeletons as Donald Trump ever has, sexually speaking, and quite a bit of people that seemed that he raped. He was never convicted, but just keep that in mind, and keep in mind how Democrats talk about Bill Clinton today versus how they talk about Trump. In December, lawyers of Paula Jones, who was suing the president on sexual harassment charges, subpoenaed Lewinsky. In January 1998, allegedly under the recommendation of the president, Lewinsky filed an affidavit in which she denied ever having a sexual relationship with him. 5 days later, Tipton contacted the lawyers of Kenny Starr, the Whitewater Independent Counsel, to talk about Lewinsky and the tapes she made. Their conversations, Tipton wired the FBI agents working with Starr, met with Lewinsky again on January 16th. Lewinsky was tipped by FBI agents, the U.S. attorney, to a hotel room where she was questioned and offered immunity if she cooperated with the prosecution. A few days later, the story broke, and Clinton publicly denied the allegation, saying, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." And that's a viral clip that will live in history. I've seen it many times, and if you're a political nerd, you've probably seen it too. Or if you're old enough, you remember when all this was happening, I was a baby. I was actually born when Bill Clinton was president. I was born in 1996. So around the time I was born, President Clinton was putting his willie in places he didn't need to be putting his willie in. So, and Trump was too. He just wasn't president yet. In July, lawyers of Lewinsky and Starr worked out a full immunity agreement covering both Lewinsky and her parents, of all whom Starr had threatened with prosecution. On August 6, Lewinsky appeared before the grand jury to begin her testimony. On August 17th, President Clinton testified. Contrary to his testimony in the Paula Jones sexual harassment case, President Clinton acknowledged the prosecutors from the office of the independent counsel that he had an extramarital affair with Lewinsky. In 4 hours of closed testimony conducted in the map room of the White House, Clinton spoke live via closed circuit television to a grand jury in a nearby federal courthouse. He was the first sitting president to ever testify before a grand jury investigating his conduct. That evening, President Clinton also gave a 4-minute television address to the nation in which he admitted he had engaged in an inappropriate relationship with Lewinsky. In the brief speech, which was wrought with legal terms, which was right with legalisms, and the words of sex was never spoken, and the word regret was never used. Lawyers are very, very careful with the words they will let you use. And Bill Clinton was a lawyer at one point, and he had lawyers. Lawyers are super careful with the words they use. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll say, hey, sorry, I shouldn't use that word. I do try to be careful with these words, but because words have meaning. But lawyers get super clever with how they word things, just so it doesn't come up bad on a transcript or in a courtroom. And politicians and lawyers are very similar. Many lawyers are politicians. And there are good lawyers who are politicians, but there are a lot of corrupt ones too. Less than a month later, on September 9th, Kenny Starr submitted his report, an 18th boxing of supporting documents to the House of Representatives, releasing it to the public 2 days later. The Starr report outlined a case for impeaching Clinton on 11 grounds, including perjury, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and abuse of power, also providing explicit details of sexual relations between the president and Mrs. Lewinsky. On October 8, the House authorized a wide range of impeachment inquiries. On December 11th, the House Judiciary Committee approved 3 articles of impeachment. On December 19th, the House impeached Clinton. On December 7th, 1999, and Congress persecuted not since the 1860s with the impeachment of President Andrew Johnson. The trial of Clinton got underway in the Senate, and instruction in Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. The Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, William I can't say his name. I'll spell it Rehnquist. So he's the Chief Justice at the time. Was sworn in to preside, and the senators were sworn in as jurors. 5 weeks later, on November 12th, the Senate voted on whether to remove Clinton from office. The president was acquitted on both impeachment inquiries. The prosecution needed 2/3 majority to convict, but failed to achieve even a bare minimum, rejecting the first charge of perjury. 45 Democrats and 10 Republicans voted not guilty, and on the charge of obstruction of justice, sentence was split 50-50. After the trial concluded, President Clinton said he was profoundly sorry for his burden and his behavior imposed on Congress and the American people. All right. And, you know, every, a lot of Democrats, and I remember had a very liberal history teacher in my high school um, junior year. He said, this was just a witch hunt. It was ridiculous. A lot of Democrats to this day say the impeachment was ridiculous. And let's just hold it. And then when it comes to Trump's impeachments over a phone call, where he supposedly tried to get, Vladimir Lazinski to dig up dirt on Joe Biden, and if not, he said he would withhold funds. You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. um, is what Trump did in his case in New York a misclassification of documents? Is that worse than lying to the American Congress, lying to the American people about the affair you had while the President of the United States? And Trump was not President of the United States when he was banging Stormy Daniels. He just wasn't. Now, it wasn't right. It wasn't right. It was wrong. But he wasn't president while doing that. And he didn't lie to the American people about an affair when he's president. Now, he lied later about the affair when he was president. But did he lie on oath to Congress? I mean, no, he didn't. I mean, this is unjust. I mean, then you have Clinton's classified documents. She's never arrested for that. And this is just unjust. This is political targeting by Democrats that are working together through multiple states and multiple jurisdictions. Do you really think they don't have cell phones? You really think they don't talk to each other? Because if you do, I have some ice to sell to an Eskimo. Oh, man. Well, I'm going to get you guys the Bible verse of the day. And if you're a Republican, do not lose hope. Trump raised a crap ton of money off of this. A crap ton of money off of this. And a lot of those people were new time donors. And we'll just have to wait and see. Long time before the election, I still have my hopes up. I'm optimistic. I'm realistically optimistic. So if you disagree with me, write to me. You want to write a whole op-ed? That's fine. I'll respond to it. If you want to write me personally. I will have you on the show. But if you disagree with me and you want to come on the show, I will give you plenty of time to state your case. I'm not just going to click you off if you're beating me in the debate. Even if you want to have it timed where you get 5 minutes, I get 5 minutes, you can come on this show. If you're going to be respectful to me, if you obey these rules, if you're respectful to me and the show and the audience, if you're not cussing like a sailor, okay, and you answer the correct questions directly, I will let you on the show. And if you don't interrupt me and follow the time segments, if it goes 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes here, whatever, 3 minutes here, 3 minutes there, whatever we agree to, okay? You can say anything you want to, as long as you're not cussing, okay? If you're not cussing, as long as you're being respectful to me and my audience, which I appreciate and love, and as long as you answer my questions directly, I'll have you on the show. Okay, if you disagree with me. Now, if you agree with me and you just want to chat back and forth how much we hate this, I don't want to do that. Okay, you can send me a message and maybe I put your faults in there, or you can send me like a 2 or 3 minute voicemail and maybe I'll play that. I'm actually fine with a 2 or 3 minute voicemail for a fan appreciation. But if you disagree with me on any topic, if you want to go back and forth on this show, you can. You can write a blog about your disagreement, and I can read the blog, and I will do that one time and only one time. If you do another rebuttal blog, I'm not going to focus on that again. Okay, you get one blog that I'll respond to, because I can't just keep going back and forth with blogs. But if you get one blog you want to write about how I'm wrong, I'll respond to that and I'll move on to the next show. If you want to come on the show and debate anything, if you want to debate religion, if you're an atheist out there and it's like, I'm going to prove God doesn't exist, come on the show. If you're a sensationist and you know that I'm a charismatic, for those who don't know, charismatics are kind of like Pentecostals, but we're a little bit lighter. We're Pentecostals that wear seatbelts. And don't think we're going to hell for sneezing every 5 minutes if you're a Pentecostal holiness. And I love y'all Pentecostal holiness, okay? No, my grandpa's a Pentecostal holiness. If you want to debate me on speaking in tongues or the gifts of the Holy Spirit or prophecy or healing, you could write a blog or you can come on the show. You want to debate me about Calvinism? I've already had this debate with my actually good friend Daryl McLean. We had a conversation / debate. It wasn't a formal debate with Daryl McLean. I went back and forth. You can watch that. You can listen to that episode and see if you'd want to do that. If it's about politics, if it's about any opinion I state on here that you don't like, that could take up a full segment of the show, if it could take up 15 minutes or more, we can have a debate on. You can write a blog. And if you write me personally or the show on Twitter or anything, maybe I can give you a shout out on your tweet if you disagree. I want people who disagree to come on the show. I don't get that often. I tried with a person that was running for state senate. She said that she would come on. She never did. She wasn't a Democrat. She's an independent. She's left-leaning independent. And she's a member of the Board of Supervisors in her county, I think. Either that or she sits on our city board. I can't remember. But I invited her on the show. Did not take me up on it. I'm not saying I'm so smart people don't want to debate me, because I'm really not that smart. I don't have a college degree. I am a blue collar worker. I'm not going to tell you where I work personally, but I'm a blue collar worker. I live paycheck to paycheck. I have to pay my car payment. I have to pay the light bill. I work. I live very happily in a small town in Smith County, Virginia. When I got married, I moved to Smith County, Virginia from Pearisburg, Virginia, and Giles County, my old hometown. I'm a Southwest Virginian. So if you want to come on the show and debate something, we can. You know the rules. If you want to write a blog, I will respond to the blog one time about that topic. And then I'll move on, because I can't keep going back and forth reading the blog and over a topic on my podcast. I mean, I have to cover other things. But I will give you a response. It might not be a whole show. It might be like a 30-minute show. It might be a whole hour. Who knows? But I've got a lot of biblical topics I want to cover. My last little bit, I want to cover the gifts of the Holy Spirit. I haven't covered that yet as a charismatic. I believe in speaking in tongues, praying in tongues as an unknown language. I believe that. As a gift of the Holy Spirit, I believe in prophecy. Now we have to do prophecy correctly, biblically, hold people accountable. I believe in prophecy. It's still for today. I believe healing, the gift of healing, is still for today. And I believe those things. As a charismatic, and I believe them unashamedly. I know that we're looked on very weird. And even with my Christian friends, even with born-again, sold-out believers, we have faced a lot of doxing. And it's not fun to be Pentecostal or charismatic, even in the Christian world. But I want to cover that. There's going to be an episode coming up about baptism, because so many different churches believe different things about baptism. So I'm going to give you my view on baptism. I'm going to give you my view of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. I believe they're active today. And we're going to get into some other deep theological topics. I'm going to do one episode eventually on women pastors. I kind of addressed this before in an episode when I used to call them spiritual specials. Back when I did an episode called Biblical Authority. So I'm going to do an episode on women pastors. I might do an episode on end times theology. Maybe not. I don't like end times theology because it's extraordinarily complicated. And I'm not convinced on one way or the other on a lot of things. And I think that there's a lot of grace in that area to disagree on. I'm going to do an episode on my problems with the Roman Catholic Church. I'll probably label it Why I'm Not Catholic. I love people inside the Roman Catholic Church. Many of them are good, safe people, but we have very serious disagreements. Oh, but anyway, I rambled a little bit. I'm going to get you to your Bible verse of the day. All right, everyone. Your Bible verse of the day is from Proverbs 20. The NIV verses 10. Different weights and different measures. The Lord detests them both. Meaning, you should not use different weights and measures or different judgment standings when judging individuals. That's wrong. And obviously, I think that ties in with today's episode because I think it's wrong to judge Trump's weights and measures other than Clinton's or Biden's or Hillary Clinton's. I think that's wrong. So I think it's unjust to use different weights and measurements. Thank you very much. We will be back next week. God bless you.